welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I am so excited to be doing another rant. It's been a while. I was not anticipating this video because I went into it reading a very hyped book and I thought, oh, I'll love it. Of course I'll love it. No, I did not. This is not a good book in my opinion. As always, if you love it, love what you love, but I tried to like it and could not. So if you could please like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts on this book in the comments. And here we go, right to my thoughts. Okay, so there's this trend that is all about morally gray, real characters. We don't want them to be too pretty, too put together. Like, they need to be realistic. And I will say that I feel like in a lot of ways it always gets taken too far. Like, most people aren't evil either. Like, morally gray usually gets translated to they're basically a terrible person, but we'll excuse it because they're hot. Like, you do you. But I feel like this is the epitome of that whole, trend. So this book is The Shadow Between Us, and I got it on Kindle because Amazon was having some deals, so I'll put it here. The Shadow Between Us is not good. Okay, so this book is very difficult for me because I want to like the main character. I want to feel something for them. I want to be invested in them for some reason. And with a book that is so hyped, especially on Bookstagram, so many people recommended this to me, I thought, surely this can't be right. Like, within the first few pages, you realize why you should never be invested in this person. Ever. Like, ever. Not ever. I'll say it again, no. So that was confusing to me. I was wondering why people like this book, what could possibly have endeared this person to them, why they cared about her. And I read 50 pages and I just could not. I will say this is about a girl who decides she's going to try to woo the Shadow King. Sounds like it should be interesting. And so she goes to court and kind of gets his attention and then gets added to his court and can stay there at the palace. And she's got a lot of schemes and there's a lot of court intrigue. And the Shadow King is very mysterious. There's like shadows that surround him, hence the name. So I won't get too much into it without, without spoilers. I'll tell you when I'm going to start spoiling things. But I just think there are some things that you can't walk a character back from. Like, there's a bridge too far. So once you make your character do certain things, for most people that should be like a sign that that's not a good character anymore. And if you want to write a story about a villain, that's cool. I like stories about villains. I think that's exciting, and like, let's see, a story about a really good villain. Like, one of my favorite books ever is Dracula. Like, and I like Dracula. So I think it's just, like Kylo Ren, hello. Like, villains are great, but you can't, in my opinion, have a character who is simultaneously a villain and the main character and the hero. Once you kind of cross that line into, well, this person's terrible in every way, why do I want them to win? Why do I want to be invested in their story? And this is what the author did with this character. And it's not just like in every way she's terrible. It's like in every way she's awful. She's like a psychopath, like totally psychopath. And she is not, like, she's not going to get her comeuppance. I read ahead. Like, I know what happens in this book and it's just not good. So I'm going to get into spoilers now and tell you all the things that I really hated about this book. So let's get into that. In the very first few pages, you learn that the main girl, Alessandra, let me check. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Alessandra is a murderer. And this is not like a self-defense murder. This is not I was beaten and tortured and I finally killed my abuser. No, she's a murderer. Cold-blooded murderer. Like, why should we like her? I don't get it. And I had the same kind of issue with Nevernight in that that was about an assassin, but she also just wasn't likable in my opinion. I didn't care about her, and I'm kind of glad because I saw someone's review on it on BookTube, and it seemed like that book got more and more out of my realm of what I would have enjoyed, so it's okay. But with this book, we don't even have the excuse. She's not an assassin. I'm like halfway through Throne of Glass, so like obviously she's killed. Like assassins kill people. This girl is not an assassin. This was very much this boy that she was with at 15. She told him like, I love you, and he said, well, I'm pretty much done, like, you know, and she murders him. Think about that. Okay? This was not in any way justified. We've all had broken hearts, and I'm assuming most of us aren't murderers. I'm not. So this is the intro. This is the first like 2 or 3 pages of this book, is her saying how she murdered this boy. Why do we care about this girl? She's a murderer. I cannot drive that point home enough. I don't care about her. I don't think that's a good character to have. What is the author trying to say? That because a man breaks your heart, you can kill them? Like, I get that this is supposed to be feminist, which we'll get to. Oh my gosh, it's not feminist. But that's kind of like the very like worst of a feminist stereotype, a literal murderer. Like someone who hates men so much that she killed the person that broke her heart and now she's just angry. This is not good. What is this like? What does this do for the story? In my opinion, it establishes that the main character is awful and not worth our pity or interest or time. So I thought, no, of course she's going to redeem this. Like she's going to show like something else happened, or something like later she'll have remorse. And I can see that being okay. I don't think it's good, but I could see where like there are characters who commit like really atrocious acts. Like, I mean, obviously Kylo Ren is a killer. And I still like Kylo. And so there are people, even like, you know, like there's the villains that, like Captain Hook or Ursula or Maleficent, that are very evil, but you kind of feel something towards. And I get that that could have been where she was going, but this girl doesn't show any remorse. She's not even interesting enough for me to be like, oh wow, well at least you're a really intriguing villain. Because she's supposed to be the hero. So our darling little 15-year-old murderess, she then decides from then on, you know, from henceforward on, she's going to use men because she feels like she was used. So she sleeps around. That's endearing. A lot. So much so that she's able to amass quite a bit of trinkets and jewels from these lovers. And she then uses that to finance her way into the palace. Yep. Yeah, I do have a bit of a problem with that. I'm just going to say, if this was a story about a man who murdered a girl who didn't love him and then slept with a bunch of women to get their money to then go finance his trip to, you know, go capture some queen, we would all have a problem with that, as we should. And I really hate when authors try to make something okay because it's a woman. You wouldn't write that character as a man and expect people to enjoy it, don't write it as a woman. Like, it doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it okay. Like, I don't like that. I don't excuse poor behavior from men, and I don't excuse poor behavior from women. If we're all going to be held to a good, like, a standard, it should all be the same. And that's the annoying thing about this, is that she's basically the worst person ever. And why do people like her? So her whole plan is to get to the palace, and she's going to kill the king to take over his kingdom. She has these ideas, and this is what's funny, is that the author tries to say like, oh, well, you know, she has these goals of, you know, once she gets in there, she's going to make it so, like, change the laws. One of the laws being that the second daughter cannot enter society and be courted until the oldest daughter is married. And so she's going to change that because it negatively affected her. Her older sister was like out doing stuff and she was stuck at home. So that's the only reason she cares about it. She does not care about other women. She is not trying to forward the, you know, like status of other women. She doesn't care about them. She cares because it affected her and made her mad. The other thing is that she wants to change the rules about women sleeping around before they're married. Well, didn't stop her. So I'm assuming it's probably not stopping most women in this society, but whatever. Lofty goals. And this is all like the feminist aspect of it, I'm assuming, because the king, of course, will be on board with that and like support her. Great. But this is not she doesn't care about other women. She doesn't care about anybody. Not anybody. She uses everyone. So this is not like she sees that the women are downtrodden or that the women need a champion, and she's going to be that champion and try and, advance their status and get them, these rights or whatever. She only cares because these are the things that affected her, that annoyed her about their society. I mean, murder, I'm assuming, is also illegal and it didn't stop her, so she should be fine. I don't get this book. I don't get it at all. Once she gets there, the Shadow King, I assumed, would be a bit like the Darkling, which I like. That was like the only part of that Shadow and Bone book that I really liked, was the Darkling. Like, hello, yes. He's a great villain. The Shadow King is boring, uninteresting. Their banter is poorly written. I did not care about it. I didn't like him. I thought at one point, one good thing, and this is like so mild. She likes dogs. He throws a ball towards her and his dog goes to get it, and like she's like not upset by it, like the big dog that comes, and like walks on her dress. So she likes dogs. That's her redeeming quality. And I thought, okay, well, he's testing her. He's probably a good guy. He's testing her to see like what her personality is, what her good attributes are, and maybe they're going to be very opposite and like play off of each other because she's very evil. No. He just wants to use her to basically be his, like, a girl he's courting. He wants her to let him, like, pretend he's courting her. And then the council will get off of his back about marriage, and he can focus on finding his parents' murderer because his parents were killed. So basically he has this whole conversation of, like, well, can you let me use you, and I'll give you what you want, which is acknowledgement. Like, just let me use you for that. I'm like, no big deal, right? Okay. So he's not good either. So didn't care. This book is not, in my opinion, in any way feminist. One of her other major attributes is she can make really cool clothes. So she's not a warrior necessarily. They say, kind of vaguely that her first murder was really messy, so she's gonna poison the king. So she has like some books about poisoning. So I guess she's supposed to be somewhat smart, but it doesn't even like bother to give her like she slept with some military generals and she has a really good knowledge of strategy. Like, there's nothing to her. Like, she's not trained in anything that would be interesting or add some more depth to her character. She designs clothes. Like, really cool clothes. Why? Why would you give her that attribute? Like, she's supposed to be this, like, really cool, strong female character, and her major thing is fashion? Why would you do that? I don't get it. There's nothing wrong with liking clothes, but to make it like her main thing is she designs these outfits, and everyone in court is very jealous of her. And of course her outfits involve pants, because I guess that's supposed to drive home that feminist point, but why would you have that be a main aspect of her character? She likes dogs and she knows how to design clothes. Why do I care about her? I don't. She was awful. The king was awful. Don't remember his name. There's some members of the court who are totally and completely forgettable. But at one point, just to drive home the fact that she's a terrible person and scum, she is talking to a courtier. I believe he's like a duke or something, baron. And he's talking about his work with charity and how he is trying to get money for the poor and making blankets for orphans. And let me just read it to you right off because it's delightful. She walks away from him. I have to physically shake off that last conversation. Charity, orphans. The devil wasted good looks on such a man. Yep. She's going to be king. Well, she's going to kill the king and become queen of all the land. But good thing she doesn't care about charity, orphans, or anything that would make her in any way redeemable. But hey, she likes dogs. I guess the dogs will be well taken care of and screw everybody else. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this book. And just for funsies, I'm going to read you the opening 2 pages Of course, this is a spoiler. Oh. They never found the body of the first and only boy who broke my heart, and they never will. I buried Hector Galenus in a hole so deep even the devils of the earth couldn't reach him. My dream was of him, of the day he told me it had been fun, but he was done. Some other girl had caught his fancy. I don't even remember her name. At the time, all I could think of was the fact that I'd given everything to Hector. My first kiss, my love, my body. And when I told him I loved him, all he had to say was, "Thanks, but I think it's time we moved on." He had other things to say, too. When I sank my knife into his chest, words came spilling out of him almost as fast as the blood. He couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't either. I barely remembered grabbing the knife Father had given to me for my 15th birthday, 3 months previous, with its jeweled handle and silver sheen. But I do remember that Hector's blood matched the inlaid rubies. I also remember what finally helped my head catch up with my pounding heart. The last words out of Hector's lips. Alessandra. His last word was my name. His last thought was of me. I won. That knowledge settles within me now just as it did 3 years ago. That sense of rightness, of peace. Okay. I don't feel like there's anything I can add to that. This book is awful. I don't know what the author was thinking. I can only imagine that she really wanted a flawed character, and I can't say anything else for it, because why would you ever want your audience to root for somebody so obviously psychopathically evil? Like, all she feels is peace about murdering somebody, and all she cares about is that his last thought was of her, because she won. And I guess in the end she really does win. Yeah, I hate it. Hate it a lot. So that's just my opinion. Once again, if you love these books, or this book, I think it's a standalone. I can't say I understand, but I totally respect that, and I hope that this didn't frustrate you too much. Please like and subscribe, and please, please, please tell me I'm not alone and not liking this book. It was so hyped. I don't understand the hype, and I've always now really hesitant with hyped books because of A Court of Thorns and Roses and The Cruel Prince and now The Shadow Between Us. I want to like books, and like some series that have been suggested to me, like the Lunar Chronicles, and even A Darker Shade of Magic, have been so good. I want to love. I love books. I love reading, but I just have to be honest, and sometimes it's so hard to go against everybody who loves these books. It's really hard for me to put my opinion out there on YouTube and Bookstagram and be like, hey, no, because I just want to be like everyone else sometimes. You just want to be like part of the group that's super on board, but I always am honest with you guys and just have to tell you, I would avoid this. I don't get it. I think the writing was really poor. I think the story was awful. And I think the characters were very weak. So that's just my opinion again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.